Hello everyone, I'm Jason, the co-founder of Saigon Hub. So welcome to the event today of my friends, Ben Hebert. Ben is the father of the Natural Steaks, a dietary supplement company specializing in premium mental performance products. So with no marketing budget or prior industry experience, Ben and his team was able to generate over $100,000 in less than 100 days. And the company was even profitable in the first month of operation. And the goal of the company is to reach 1 billion USD in this year. But sadly, when I tell this to my friends and people around me, they told me it's just a scam. So how can Ben and his team make such an explosive growth? So the answer will be given today at the event. But before that, today is also Ben's birthday. So may everyone here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ben. Happy birthday to you. Yes, come the show.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Saigon Hub. Let's give another round of applause for Jason for setting this up and just generally being awesome. So the first thing tonight, as you know, it is my birthday. And if you read the event correctly, you were all supposed to bring a gift. I will be taking all the gifts at the end. Let's wait until the end to give me things, which is going to be awesome. The second thing, just to remember this moment, I saw this happen on a TV show, award show the other night. So the first thing I want to do is take a selfie really quick with everyone here. So if you could kind of just like stand up and kind of like crowd around, I'm going to do it from right here.
Nice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me set it up.
Down in front.
Wait, who has long arms and wants to do this for us?
Derek Bradley Cooper.
I don't have long arms.
Bradley Cooper.
You're in charge.
I'm in charge. How am I gonna do this?
There we go.
Selfie.
1, 2, 3. Go, one more.
Awesome.
One more.
One more.
One more. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Awesome. Unfortunately, there will be no pizza delivered tonight.
2 million pieces.
So as you can see, the presentation is called 0 to 100K in less than 100 days. Thank Terry Lin, came up with the title, way smarter, more creative than I am. 100K doesn't really mean a lot, but at the same time, it does. For most businesses, it's a landmark achievement. It's something where most people don't ever get to. And we were able to do that in less than 100 days with no budget. So today's talk is called How to Build a Profitable Bootstrapped Startup. And those 3 words are rarely in the same sentence. So we'll look at the first one, which is profitable. We make money every single month. We don't lose money, we never have, and hopefully we never will, but who knows. We're bootstrapped. That means we have no outside funding at all. The entire company is controlled by myself and my partner, and we look to see it that way for at least some time. And we're a startup. And there's a lot of talk between what's a startup and what's a business. And a lot of people think they're the same, and they can be at times, but not always. So the first thing we're going to talk about is defining it. Now, who wants a shot at defining what a business is? Someone's got to be brave, or I'm just going to call Kim. You looked at me first. How would you define a business?
An entity looking to generate profit?
I think
that's one person or many?
I think that's a really good way to put it. What I like to say is that a business excels at the status quo. They take whatever's normal and they do it better. So if we take a pizza shop, for example, you open a pizza shop on the corner downstairs, that's a business. You might make better pizza, you might sell more pizza, you might make more money than anyone else selling pizza, but all it is a business, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with setting up an e-commerce store and selling chairs, or soda or whatever else. But a business is not always a startup. Now, when we talk about a startup changes the status quo at scale. So whatever people were normally doing, whether it's eating pizza, whether it's running, we change that behavior for everyone. So it's not just the people downstairs that would be eating good pizza, but it would be the people across the entire world. And that's the fundamental difference between these two. Startups look to change the status quo at scale. They don't see it any other way. They see their ideas, their vision as something that can be applied to everyone and should be applied to everyone, and they want to change the world. A little bit about Natural Stacks. We are a startup, and as I mentioned, there are two founders, myself and my partner, Roy Krebs, who's sitting in sunny California. Everyone say hi, Roy, because I'm sure he's going to watch this. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hi, Roy. Thank you, thank you. As I mentioned, we are profitable, we are bootstrapped, and we are entirely location independent. Roy and I have spent a couple months together working, but other than that, we operate in a completely virtual environment. We talk a couple times a week, but we don't actually talk that much. And to get into this, when you're choosing a co-founder, it's a very, very special, a very delicate relationship. A lot of people rush into business because they have a friend or they think that this person can complement them well, which of course is important. But the number one thing between co-founders is respect and trust. You need to trust the person and respect them that they're going to be able to get the job done. And that's why Roy and I have had such a successful relationship and a successful business so far. And a funny story, we started working on this whole idea for Natural Stacks back in April of 2013. And then August, we funded our first production run. That day, I went to my bank, I pulled out everything in my account, my entire savings account, checking account. I think I had like $14 to my name, all in cash. And I went and deposited that into Roy's account. I never met him before. We never even did a face-to-face on like Skype before. It was all phone and regular email and other conversation. But we had that trust already and that respect between each other that we were going to get this done and we were going to make this vision happen. And that's why we've been so successful today. So as I mentioned before, we started working in April and we officially launched, we officially went on sale towards the middle of October in 2013. And then by the end of December, we generated over $102,000 in sales. In our first year of business, as I mentioned before, our number one goal, even though it's not really that important, is to generate $1 million in revenue. We want to create what's called the Live Optimal lifestyle, which is something that I'll get into a little bit more as the talk goes along. And then finally, we want to change the conversation. And when I talk about changing the conversation, we're getting back to the status quo. We want to change what people think about dietary supplements, what they think about the companies, what they think about the market in general. But first, we have our scam alert. As Jason mentioned earlier today, a lot of people think that we're a scam, that we're not real, that we're selling magic Chinese medicine, something like that in a bottle. And it's funny, and I smile every time I hear that, because you know what? That means there's opportunity, and that means there's something really wrong with this market. And to be honest, it's a lot of different things. Supplements are shady in general. Now, if you're looking at this, and I apologize if it's kind of hard to see from the back, this is the label for a pre-workout product. And you would probably need a PhD to really understand it. And I think what's even worse is, let me click really quick. Right there, that section is what we call a proprietary formula. And in the industry, most people or most companies do this to hide what's actually in there. So when you're looking at this and you see it says Assault Proprietary Blend, this anti-fatigue adaptation matrix, strength domination, etc., etc., it really represents everything that's wrong. And the worst part is, if you're taking this, you have no idea how much of each ingredient you're putting into your body. But that's something that the industry has marketed to people over and over and over again. That results. Who cares what's actually in it? But I think the market is shifting. The market is shifting because people want and they deserve to know what is in the supplements they're taking. It's no different than food. If you go to a restaurant and you eat something, you want to know the different ingredients in case you have an allergy, in case you just don't like something. But with supplements, you don't know how much of these things are in there. It's absolutely crazy. So as I mentioned before, what the whole industry represents is a lack of consumer trust. No one trusts these companies. You have every right to be skeptical. But as I mentioned, a lack of consumer trust actually means that there's opportunity. And today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite companies right now, which is Uber. Raise your hand if you've taken an Uber before. Awesome. So a couple of people have. In case you don't know, Uber is like an on-demand taxi that uses a smartphone app. And actually, I have to say, being here in Saigon, the taxis have been pretty amazing. But in most cities, especially in America, the taxis are complete shit. They're horrible. You don't know if they're going to get there. They smell bad. The drivers are rude, and they never arrive on time. If you go to any major city and you look up the taxi cab, it's going to have 1 star because everyone at some point in time has a horrible experience. So that is another market that represents a lack of consumer trust. No one trusts the taxi. So what does Uber do? They come in and establish themselves as the trust leader. You go on your phone, you call the cab, you can see it coming on their GPS app. You know when it arrives, and you know where it's taking you. It's a seamless, beautiful experience that just capitalizes on the lack of consumer trust. And that's why they've been able to grow into a billion-dollar company and have been expanding everywhere. So when you're building, when you're creating this idea, and you're working on your startup, this is one of the main things that I like to focus on. Where are the pain points in the business or industry that you're going into? What are people struggling with? What are they complaining about? And how can you insert yourself to be the leader? It's a very powerful proposition to put yourself into. And I think one point that a lot of people don't want to talk about is that people are willing to pay more for things that work. If you deliver a better product, something that works, something that's seamless, you can price it accordingly, and the market will respond well because they're tired of dealing with all the crap. So now we're going to get into the idea of building a startup. And a little bit going back is we looked at the problems with the supplement industry, so we decided there needs to be some sort of solution. But before we get to all of that, I have to call on another volunteer. So the most important thing in business is, do I have a hand? Do I have a hand? We'll go in the back.
Sales.
Wrong. Let's go one more person. Jason in the back. No, wrong. The most important thing is cash. If you don't have any money, you are out of business. There is nothing, there's no glory in being broke. There's no glory in not having money. If you're starting a company, You better find out how you're going to make money, or you better find someone that's going to give you money until you figure it out. Because so many people do this thing where they have this great idea. Oh, man, Ben, I have this awesome idea, man. I'm going to build this Yelp. It's for using a toilet or something. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds really cool. It's like, yeah, we're going to make all this money by like renting out toilets to people. It's like Airbnb for toilets, man. So I'm like, all right, that's cool, man. But the thing people forget about is it costs money to build a business. And when you first start, you're like, oh, I only need to pay for hosting this website. And, my server is like $125 a month and whatever. It adds up, and it adds up quick. And a lot of good ideas have ended far too early because the founders didn't understand their cash flow. So whether you're hustling on the side, doing consulting work, whatever it might be, or you have access to short-term money, find someone that believes in your idea, whatever you have to do. That's what founders do. We make it happen. But understand that cash comes first. Out of money is out of business. Oh, look, there's cash up here. The next, when we look at markets, one of my favorite books, and you guys actually have it back there, is called Blue Ocean Strategy. When you're leaving here, someone should probably maybe run now and grab it and pick it up and read it and memorize it because it's awesome. And basically, to summarize the entire book in 30 seconds or so, there are blue oceans and there are red oceans. Red oceans are where your competitors are, and they're red because they're all sharks and they're killing each other. And then blue oceans are these vast, beautiful spaces like this that are open and full of potential. So when we look at the red ocean for supplements, and this is a very popular, really knockoff crap product, but they use proprietary formulas. So they hide the ingredients. They usually stuff them with cheap synthetic uses. They use false advertising. There's no science behind them. And they usually rely on what's often terrible SEO or affiliate marketing. It's a really crappy industry, but worse than anything is if you're in a red ocean, you're almost always going to have to compete on price. And competing on price is a losing strategy. So when you're thinking right now, oh, I'm working on my company, how are we going to charge? What are we going to represent in the market? Don't ever compete on price. Because once you do that, that's the only way you're going to be able to compete. You're only going to be able to offer more and more sales and things like that. It's just not the way to go. So seeing this red ocean and knowing that there's no consumer trust out there, we saw a big opportunity for a brand to come in and establish themselves as the market leader, as the trust leader, just like Uber did for cabs. And here you have Natural Stacks. And what we represent is premium, open source dietary supplements. When you're building your company, you should be able to define it in one sentence that says exactly what you do and what you represent. My friend Alan here is really good at that. Alan has a company called, what's it called, Alan?
Simple Crew.
And Simple Crew does what?
Mobile photo app for groups and teams.
Awesome. If you're building something now and you can't define it and you're struggling thinking in your seat right now, oh, I do this, but it's for this market and this person, simplify it. Make it better, define it, and your vision will come from that, and you'll be able to move forward a lot faster. So when I say premium open source dietary supplements, what that represents is uncontested market space. No one else is doing it. Supplement industry is worth billions of dollars worldwide, and no one has decided to go open source. Software is open source. Video games are open source. The internet is open source. Android is terrible, but that's open source too. And it was crazy that this opportunity existed. But once we saw it, once we realized that, hey, we can come in, we can make a difference, and we can make a difference early on, we decided to move full steam ahead. Here's a picture of our flagship product, Siltep. It's a natural nootropic used for focus. And you can see here on the supplement facts panel, we list everything there. So if you wanted to, you could go home or go on Amazon. You could buy each one of these ingredients and make it yourself. And you know what? If you want to, we have all the information there that you need, supporting it online, how it works, and the research behind it. But you know what? Only a very small fraction of the market's ever going to do that. Consumers love convenience. As I mentioned before, when we're talking about Uber, we just want something that works. We want it to work. We want it to work every time. We want it to work whenever we want it to. And that's what we represent in the industry. I've shown this slide to a few people and they kind of get confused. So it says product isn't product. And the best way to explain this, who in here has an iPhone? Yeah, hold it up real quick. So I think the iPhone is the best culmination or example of product isn't product. What product really is product is experience. So from the time you purchase that iPhone, to it arriving at your house, to you opening the box, to turning it on, to connecting to iCloud, to text messaging or iMessaging your first friend. It's a full encompassing experience. So while we sell dietary supplements, it's not just the product that we're selling. We're selling a lifestyle. We're selling the idea of people getting healthier, performing better, and knowing exactly what they're taking. When you're building your company, whatever it might be, whether it's apps or something like that, you have to realize that it doesn't stop with the interaction when they leave. There are more chances, more points, more opportunities to build that relationship with your customer. Before the talk started, I spoke with someone who's building, I believe, the Airbnb for meals. Very cool, very exciting idea. And this is the perfect example. Product is not the website. Product is the experience that they have when they eat at the home, when they leave the home, when they sign up and use the service again. So you need to consider that as a full encompassing thing around your company. So this is our mission statement, that we're not selling supplements, we're selling a lifestyle, and that is live optimal. And the way we kind of interjected ourselves into the space so quickly was by pushing this, the idea, the lifestyle, showing people that they deserve the right to know what's in the products they're taking. And it's not crazy, right? You should be able to know what exactly you're putting into your body. That's our right as a consumer. You want to know if you buy something, where it came from. We provide all this information in an open format, and it's really allowed us to scale quickly. So we're going to talk about validating. And I really think this is the second part, because you can build a product, you can build a company, but the next step is you need to see how the market's going to respond. And I'm going to read a quote by Peter Thiel here. And I actually have this pinned up at my office, kind of at home. And it is, poor distribution, not product, is the #1 cause of failure. I don't care how good your app is. I don't care how good your company is. I don't care how amazing your product is. It doesn't matter if no one sees it. If you can't get your product to the right people, forget it. You're done. So that brings us to the most important word in business. And I think it was mentioned by someone earlier. Anyone? Marketing. Let's all say that one time together. 3, 2, 1. Marketing. Thank you. Marketing, 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 marketing. Say it 1,000,000 times in your head. Go home, read 5 books. Tomorrow, read 10 more. Marketing is the most important thing. If you can't market, you can't sell, you're dead. As I said before, it does not matter how good your product is. And I think the first step of marketing right now is to really understand that traditional channels are dead. One of the most common things in being here, I hear this all the time, is, okay, man, I started my business and we're going to do like AdSense ads and we're going to like get some Facebook likes to the page and then I'm going to like email my friends and then I'm going to... Those things don't matter. Today, we are all, or companies actually, are fighting for your attention. Every single day, you're being bombarded with ads, you're being bombarded with messaging. People want your money. Companies want your money. You almost become immune to everything else. So in your marketing plan, when you're trying to grow your business, you need to do something substantial. You need to build an actual relationship. You need to connect. You need to sell them on the lifestyle, the idea, the concept that it's bigger. Because if you come in and you're just trying to sell me, a car truck, or you're trying to sell me, a new pair of shoes, but I don't know you, I don't trust you, I'm never going to buy. I'm never going to install your app. How can you do this? There's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to talk about my favorite here in a second. So at the very top is you, and you have this small little green circle of influence. And I think Google, with Plus and the disaster that crap is, they got one thing right with circles. So we all have circles of influence. I'm here talking in front of you all right now, and my circle's kind of growing because while some of you might think, this idiot's crazy and he's talking too much and too loud and keeps making me repeat things, others are making a connection. We're connecting. I'll help you after this. And like I said, my circle will grow. We actually have some people here in the audience today, too, that have really big circles, whether they're creating content, podcasts. I think Legal Nomads is here. That's like Twitter fame in the house. So we all have these circles. But when you first start, your business is alone, and no one cares, and you have no influence at all. But this is what an influencer looks like. So we can keep going with the Legal Nomads thing. So this is Legal Nomads here in the red. And with a big influencer, with someone who's really important and special and has like an engaged audience, they have that relationship, they have that trust, and people look to them. That is where people get answers from. That's how people make decisions. We look to our influencers. So when you're looking at this red circle, you can see that they're touching the yellow, the other red, all the way over here with the blue. And this is the way that I approach marketing. Even though you're that small circle, one, you want to move your way in. But two, realize that everyone has a circle. We all do. Just some people bigger than others. So each time you make a sale, each time you get a download, each time someone comes into that pizza shop that you run downstairs, it is your chance, it is your opportunity to grow that circle. But I'll tell you this, and I'll be honest, connecting with influencers makes it a whole lot faster. So you want to move there from the top to somewhere down here at the bottom. When you connect with someone big, with someone powerful, someone with trust, you're not going to get all the way here at the top initially, but you're going to have an effect. And that's where it begins. So in connecting with influencers, the only thing I like to say is go after the whales. There is no point in wasting your time trying to go after lowly bloggers who are trying to get free shit to review for their website. They have no audience, they have no traffic, it doesn't mean anything. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to move, if you want to shake, if you want to disrupt something, go after the biggest players immediately. It's the only way to be taken seriously. And if you don't think you're good enough, you don't think your product's right, you don't think whatever, fix it, make it better, get to the point where you can go to the very top and say, hey, I'm here. Let's make a deal. Let's get something done. And for us, we realized that we had a very unique value proposition early on. So getting back to it, we had our blue ocean. We had our uncontested market space. We have an amazing product. So there was no point for us to wait. There's no point for us to try and slow through the process and slowly grow and get covered here and do press releases, blah, 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 blah. We went right to the top. And the top for us looks like this guy. His name's Dave Asprey. He is the bulletproofexec.com. He runs the #1 health and wellness podcast on iTunes. He is the mover and shaker and guru, expert, leader, whatever you want to call it for our industry and our market. And we went after him very early on. And this is how we did it. The first thing is we created a funnel. So many people, and I hear this all the time, and all the forums that I'm in are like, I'm going to automate our outreach process. Yeah, I'm just going to hire this VA, and the VA is going to scrape all these email addresses, and they're going to write this email, but guess what? They're going to write a little personal note in each one. Yeah, because that works. When you're going after a whales, respect the fact that they are busier than you, they're more important than you, and they probably have a lot more money than you. If you think that you're going to connect with anyone important by sending them the same generic, boring email you send everyone else, forget about it. Quit and go home. You're wasting their time. So when I say create a funnel, you have to do a little bit of stalking. Have to find out where you can interject yourself. What's the best time to communicate? And realize that window is going to be very small. But the thing is you want to make that connection. Because one connection, especially early on for your business, can have tremendous value. We connected with Dave Asprey, and alone, he is our #1 wholesale partner. He's helped spread our message of our company. And over hundreds of thousands of dollars of business contributed directly through him and through that relationship early on. So the second part of this, once you create a funnel and find a way to attract them in, you need to craft an offer. And this part is challenging because it can go really good or it couldn't work. It might not work. But you have to create something that sets you up for success. And when you're creating this offer, when you're going to them, realize that you have to offer insane value. Know that they're more important than you and they're giving you a little bit of time out of their day. You have one chance to shine, and you better make it count. I see a lot of startups and a lot of companies that I talk to, they find their influencer and they're moving forward with it and the conversation's going, and they completely fall flat on their faces at this part because they don't know what they're going to offer. They come up with something lowball, and guess what? They get thrown out the door. Create something that offers insane value. And then the last part is negotiate. And I'd say be creative there. Anyone here watch the Shark Tank? Yeah, of course. Shark Tank is awesome for a lot of different reasons, but I think the #1 is the sharks always create these really crazy offers, whether it's royalty deals or certain terms that they get until they get paid back. And so often I talk to startups and I talk to companies and they're like, well, we just want to offer equity. We just think we'll just give them equity. And that's a terrible idea. You never want to give away equity. That's the very last thing you want to do. I really recommend going back, watching Shark Tank, and finding something creative that minimizes their risk, yet still gets attention. And that's how you craft a real deal with an influencer that will help you scale your business. So the second part, outside of influencers, is customers. And this is another one of my favorite entrepreneurs, non-gurus, that's out there doing big things in the world. And it's Jeff Bezos. And he says, if you do build a great experience, customers tell each other about that. Word of mouth is very powerful. You know, I'm here speaking in front of all of you today. And like I said, we're building the connection. My circle is expanding. And you're probably going to tell someone about this talk. And it might not be about the whole thing, and it might be about me rambling and going on and on and on and on. But there's going to be something, some kind of value that you take out of it that you share with someone else. So when you're starting your company and you're trying to validate your idea, realize that everyone is going to talk about it. And I'm not saying be perfect. We are far from perfect. We've had problems on problems happen and occur, and I'm sure they will happen again. I really hate APIs. Sometimes they make me bang my head up against the wall. But anyway, each opportunity, even when you mess up, even when you fall flat on your face, as long as you own it, as long as you own the mistake and do better by your customers, you're going to keep building that solid relationship, you're going to build that trust, and you're going to be able to keep moving forward. This is another thing that I like to have posted, on my wall, is do things that don't scale. Paul Graham has an essay. Paul Graham's like one of the co-founders or founders of Y Combinator, and he has an essay about this, and it's specifically about the founders of like Airbnb and a couple other, I guess, billion-dollar companies out there that did things that didn't scale to grow their business, especially early on. See, the problem is with distribution for your company when you first launch is that you don't know what works. You don't have the channels to optimize because you're creating the channels. But because you're in these initial stages, you need to iterate quickly, take their feedback, and do things that don't scale. One of the things that I think really helped us out early on, when we launched in October, I flew out to California, and we decided that our target market was places like Saigon Hub. So my partner and I got in his, he's got like a BMW SUV, but it's crazy because you can like stick the key in and it starts about like 20% of the time. So we took it out and we went to all of these different incubators in the Silicon Valley area. And we came in dressed up all nice, looking all professional, and we're like, hey, can we take a tour here? We might want to work here. So of course we're going around and they're coming, oh, this is our break room, and this is where people play video games, and this is where people do this, and we have beer here. Oh, that sounds awesome. Let me see the break room. So we go into the break room, open the fridge. Oh, cool. Hey, we have these dietary supplements that are good for memory and focus. I think people here might like them. Do you mind if we leave them here? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. So we literally took our product and put it right where our market is, got right in their face. We went to a couple different bigger startups in downtown San Francisco, and we did the same thing. We walked in the door, hey, we have this product. It's magic. We didn't actually say that, but we got people to take it and try it right there on the spot. And now for an internet company, this is like insane. You never go out and meet your customers. You never go out and talk to your market. Well, I'm telling you, by doing things that don't scale, getting there, getting in front of them, you're able to build that relationship, and relationships scale. And you know what? The other things don't. So your pay-per-click, you're looking after traditional channels like that. You might be able to spend more money there, but it won't get you a meeting at Google. It won't get you a meeting with VCs. It won't put you in front of the right people. You need to be out networking and building constantly. We're at the end of this section, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what validation looks like. This is our customer map that I pulled. I actually pulled this about a month ago. And these are orders from different customers. We've actually shipped a couple to Vietnam as well. $9.95 flat rate shipping in case anyone wants to buy. but you can see that we've hit every single continent. And this is what our revenue looks like. October, we were profitable. November, we had a killer month in November. December, we dipped down a little bit. But ever since then, we've been growing. We did over $140,000 in sales last month. So when I tell you that we're going to do $1 million this year, because people believe in our vision and people believe in our lifestyle and people need a company like ours, trust me. The last part I want to talk about in this section is actually, a lot of us focus on the launch. We think that we need this big, flashy, grandiose launch to really make an impact. You know, a lot of my friends that are building apps think, oh man, if I can just get covered on TechCrunch or VentureBeat, then we'll be made. Then we'll be set. But I think what people fail to understand is that traditional media like that is great, but it doesn't have an impact. So when we get back to the influencers versus regular media thing again, regular media is in and out of your head. You're scrolling down your Facebook timeline, and if it's not clogged with crappy BuzzFeed surveys and Elite Daily garbage, you might read a news article or two, but you only read that for entertainment. You really don't have a connection with the source. Whereas influencers, you've built that connection over time. You've built that trust. So when you think about your launch and you think about, oh, we need to come out big to the audience, it doesn't matter. Because at first, your product isn't going to be perfect anyway. You really need to take the time, get to know your customer base, and improve based on their feedback. And the last part on this is, I often think about some of my favorite companies out there, like Uber or Apple, and I have no idea how they launched or when they started. I don't know how Facebook started. I don't know how Twitter started. I don't know how MySpace started. I think it was a guy, Tom. But you don't know how these things happen. You pick up traction over time, but the important part is validating it early on and then growing from there. The next part and final section is we're going to talk about scale. And that's actually the lovely Calvin Harris down there. For those of you that don't know me, I also run a website. It's called whiteraverrafting.com. And it's an electronic music blog. So I go to all these things. I go to all these big festivals. I go to all these big music shows and clubs around the world, which is really fun. And I've seen this industry scale faster than anything imaginable. It has grown rapidly. Club music, I'm sure you've seen it infiltrate the city here. It's everywhere. And it's the perfect example of what scale really means. This is a rule that you have to follow, which is 80-20 until death. Does anyone know what the 80-20 principle is? I'm gonna ask Derek to volunteer because he looked at me. If you look at me, you're getting called on. So Derek, take the mic and...
Hi, Ben.
How's it going?
Great job so far, by the way.
Thank you.
80-20, it's Pareto's Law, made popular, at least to me, by Tim Ferriss. Basically, the concept is 20% of your inputs is responsible for 80% of your output. So if you focus on the main 20% that actually matters, you're going to see much more results and much more growth from that.
Everyone give him a round of applause. That was beautiful. The 80-20 is the most true rule ever. Getting back to my history and kind of where I came from, I was the first employee at a startup called giftcardrescue.com. We were on Shark Tank season 1. First year of business, we did $250,000 in sales. Second year, we did $2 million. The third year after I left, we scaled it to $6 million. I was the intern, operations manager, digital marketing, whatever. If you work at a startup, you're going to do everything imaginable. And it was here that I really learned the 80-20 rule. And I think for an e-commerce company, the way it applies to us is that 80% of the revenue is coming from 20% of the sales. 20% is something that you need to find out very early on. So when you're looking through and you're validating your process and you're seeing what's growing and what's working, you need to locate that 20% very early, or else you're going to die. There's nothing else to it. If you deploy resources in the different channels that you think are working, that you're not monitoring correctly, you're not going to spend the money right, and you're going to fail. For us, what this looks like is repeat customers. This is a graph that's showing the repeat buys we have each month. And our focus here is that if someone likes us, we want them to come back. This is something that we're going to continue to push resources and focus on. And in February, we had a really great month where 30% of our revenue for the entire month was repeat buys. It's something you need to figure out for your business as well. And in repeat buys, what I like to talk about is customer champions. So when you have your company and you have your initial sales coming in, you have your first downloads, some people are going to really love what you do. They're going to want to support you and help you in every single way they possibly can. They're going to rally to you. And how do you make that connection happen? How do you make them feel special, become a bigger part of your team and your vision? And that's by making them what I like to call a champion. And this is one small example of how we do this. So today, we actually released a brand new product. It's called BioCreatine. And this is the method that I've been using to create customer champions. So I sent a product announcement to our entire list. So that's everyone. Everyone gets a notification, hey, we have something new coming out. My emails are really long stories. But at the very bottom, it has what I like to call a VIP list opt-in. And what this does is it gives the user a chance to move themselves further down in the funnel. So if they're coming in, they're reading this, and they're really connecting with your message, give them the opportunity to move further down from everyone else. It's very easy to do with email, but I'm sure you can figure out a way to build this into your company. So if they move down into our email list opt-in and they move into the VIP section, we follow up with what I like to call a super offer. So it's a really good deal. It's something incredible. And they're going to buy it. And then after that, we follow up. And the main reason we do this is I don't really believe in discounting. But if you're going to offer a discount, you want to offer it to the people who are champions for your brand, who are going to buy in, who are going to share, who are going to tell their friends how great of an experience it was. You know, these are people that love what you do, and if you can offer them something back in return, they're going to love it even more. And we get back to the circles, they're going to share with their circles. Go ahead, Terry.
Do you have an example of a super offer you're talking about?
So the super offer that we have for this product, and I'll actually get to that in the next slide. So it's coming. But then for everyone else, they didn't opt in. They just get a regular offer, which is much less appealing. It's still good. So let's move forward. So this is our product that we just pre-sold today. And I actually checked my email a couple seconds ago, so we actually sold one more bottle. But as I mentioned, it was completely hidden from the public. If you go to the website, you can't find it anywhere on the site. Hidden. In our VIP email list, we only had 249 people opt in out of a little over 2,000, which is still pretty good. But we had a 57.69% open rate, and in less than 24 hours, we sold 75 bottles of BioCreatine. And like I said, the discount was only available to the people who came in. And the super discount for this one was if you buy 2 bottles, you get 1 free, which is the same as 33% off. We only run sales. This is the 5th sale we've run in the entire course of the company. So the messaging is even stronger. Just touching on sales briefly, I don't really believe in them because what it does is it belittles your brand. If you condition your audience to expect things at a discount, that's the only time they're going to react. I like keeping it at a premium, and the company that I worship the most is Apple because they're able to do that. This is an interesting point here. The most important part of scaling a business is being the conversation. Now, Red Bull is the ultimate conversation starter. You know, who here remembered watching the video of this guy jumping from outer space without, it was insane. Absolutely insane. They own the conversation. If you're not talking about your market, if you're not talking about your brand, if you're not talking about your products, if you're not talking about your competitors, if you're not talking about what your customers are interested in, someone else will. And that's how you become the market leader. So you need to think about how can you create that media to bring them in. You need to lead that. And the way that we are doing this, we have a blog now currently. We have a forum. We're launching a podcast. Last week, we actually sponsored an event in California with a bunch of scientists. And then, of course, you have traditional social media. And all of these things keep pushing the idea, which is live optimal. Helping people live healthier, optimal lives, and performing at a higher level. This part is tough, and it actually hits me pretty close. So one of the first questions we always get is, you know, if you publish your formula open source, people can just copy it, right? Well, of course. And they've tried. Very early on, and actually I still do this, every time we get an order, I usually look at the customer profile, where they came from, how they got there, where do they live, things like that. And very early on, I started to see a bunch of orders come from Princeton. It's like, wow, smart kids at Princeton taking our supplements. We're awesome. So this individual ordered a couple of different times. And then eventually, I saw an article come out in, I believe it's the Daily Princetonian, like their Princeton newspaper, that he was releasing a supplement with our formula. And he was actually giving it out to people on campus, which was really funny to me. I actually went on to the bottom of the blog post and I commented something like, I would have expected something more from someone at Princeton with like a winky face, and started a little bit of a war. But I think that competitors are everywhere. People are always going to try and copy what you do, especially if you're successful. But it'll ruin you. If we think about what our competitors are doing, then we get away from what we're trying to do and the vision that we're trying to create. You might see something going on in the marketplace that people are getting involved with, that people seem to like, and it's okay to pay attention. But as soon as your focus shifts, to what they're doing instead of what you're trying to do, you're losing. Don't worry about the competition. Keep your idea and keep moving forward. The last step to scale is innovate. Too many times we become complacent, especially when you get your first taste of success. You know, we did $100-something thousand in sales last month. It'd be very easy for us to take a break, for us to say, hey, we've got a great thing going. You know, let's just take some money out. You know, let's buy some things. You know, that's the whole reason why we started a business, hey? You know, we want to drive Teslas and eat sushi every day, which is true. I definitely do want to do that one day. But when you do something like that, you get away from what kind of brought you there in the first place. And that's innovation. And everyone in here is an innovator. When you're building your company and you're trying to scale and get bigger, this is the only way to do it. You can't expect to keep doing the same thing and bringing new people in and getting new results. When you want to take it to the next level, you need to find out what that is and attack it. And like I said, it's very hard to do. Because as soon as you get that sense of security, as soon as you get your 1,000 users, as soon as you hit your first benchmark numbers, you get so comfortable. It's like, oh, man, we're doing such a good job. We are awesome. And you're going to think that. But you can't let it get to you. You need to keep going forward. That's really the end of my talk tonight, but I'm going to end with a little bit of a story that's pretty close to me. So a little bit about myself. I am obsessed with candy. I have this addiction to Haribo gummy bears. I'm pretty sure that they add brain power. So growing up, I would always go to my grandparents' house, and they had this giant container of candy. And whenever we'd leave, they'd say, hey, you can have a piece. You can have 2 pieces. And it was always one of the best times because you'd be able to get to leave, pick out the candy, get in the car, eating it. It was a perfect experience. So one time I'm there with my brother, and we're sitting there, and my grandfather comes over and he says, all right, boys, you can have as much as you can hold in one hand. So my brother's younger than me, and he comes in, and he grabs this massive handful, just a ton. And I'm like so excited. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait. Can't wait to get into that candy. But I go over, and what I do is, instead of reaching in, I put the lid on the top, and I picked up the whole jar and started walking out. And my grandfather smiles, and he starts laughing. And he says, boy, one day you're going to be president, which actually can't happen. And I think the moral here of the story is that everyone here thinks differently. You're here at Saigon Hub because you think outside of the box. You refuse to accept what's normal. Keep going down that path, and you will be successful one day. I'd like to dedicate this talk to something that a lot of people don't know, is that my grandfather here actually passed away when I first got here into Vietnam. And it was really testing whether I was going to stay here or not. But the fact that I'm here and able to do things like this and connect with individuals like yourselves makes it all worth it. So thank you, and any questions, I'm here.
Okay, so before we begin the Q&A sessions, so there's a gift from the Tech in Asia. So who has Tech in Asia, please raise your hand and stand up, please. Okay, so this is a gift, birthday gift from Tech in Asia for you today. Thank you for giving talk. Okay,
wow.
So
Wow. Awesome.
super cool.
Thank you so much. This is going to go on my desk, guys. Thank you.
Keep it when you sleep. All right, so we begin the Q&A sessions. If any of you want to next questions to Ben? Okay.
Hi Ben, good job.
Thank you.
That was really cool. I was just wondering how you and your partner got synced up.
I actually, it's interesting. I actually worked with him briefly for some consulting type deal. He ran a few other dietary supplement sites, but kind of got experience in the industry that way. But they were the less transparent, kind of a little shadier. And we connected early on through a couple of my blog posts and things like that. So I think that if you're going down this path and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to build companies, if you're not creating media, if you're not sharing with people, if you're not telling people, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing, then you're really limiting yourself. You know, some people are afraid to kind of be like, you know, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create. I refuse to accept what's normal. But don't be afraid of that. Not today, not in today's world. And by broadcasting that type of information, you'll connect with a lot more people.